trend in a way, but I don't like the word spirituality very much. But I think it's much closer to being a profound and transformative shift in our psyche. So now I think there's a second stage in that initiatory process going on for the Western psyche, but it's happening on a much more foundational level because so many more people have made those kind of connections and have had those kind of experiences and have kind of integrated to a much deeper level.
According to the Maya beliefs, this cycle is the cycle of the death. So probably they trace this exact day, December 21, 2012, because this is the time when all the death is going to stop, and it's going to start another cycle of rebirth, peace, but it can represent a lot of things. I'm sure that the world is not going to end in that specific day. Another cycle is going to begin.
Worrying about some unfounded cataclysm that's going to take place in the year 2012 is not a part of my worldview. I just don't get it. And so I would advise you not to worry. I would advise you not to worry. Invest your time in feeding the homeless, helping the poor, and being green. I mean, invest your time in that, not in joining some far-out cult where we'll all stand at the top of the North Pole on our heads to wait for the coming. Because I don't think it's going to happen. It ain't going to happen. How's that for being specific?
I just don't think that there's a moment at 2012 where, like Jehovah's Witnesses, we, the psychedelically enlightened few, are going to have to walk civilization down off its bad trip, right? I think that time's already here. So yeah, it is up to us to take each other down off the bad trip. It's just that I don't think that's 4 or 5 years from now. I think I see it every day.
The concept that this end date or completion date of the Mayan calendar has some relevance to the world in a global sense, I think is a fallacious thought, because this system is a particular system that was developed for and by Maya, for their particular ideology, for their particular place in the world. It would be a mistake to rally around a philosophy that has its place in its history and in its world, and appropriate it as something that belongs to a global sense.
As we come to the end of the calendar, we're going to be emerging into a millennium of gold, millennium of opportunity, a time of living at peace with each other, of clean rivers, of clean air. Our challenge today is to embody the prophecies, to become that human after 2012 that I refer to as Homo luminous. But that's not guaranteed. We think that we can postpone making the tough choices. Well, the time is today.
I'm very much aware of all the prophecies and all the talk and discussion about 2012, but then I also lived through the Russians going to kill us next week in the Cold War, and the harmonic convergence, and Y2K, and I think my first piece of advice to people is don't sell your house and move to the mountains, because I think there's every likelihood that in 2013 your bills will still be coming in.
There's a rift between East and West that is increasing at exponential speed. I see it every day. I mean, I live in the Middle East and I see it growing every day. It's based on total misunderstanding of each other. And this misunderstanding stems from the way that we have developed our cultures. We do not use the common denominators anymore. Ultimately, we're all children on this planet. We belong to the same planet. What we have done is segregate this and separated these beliefs through religious orders, through nationalistic orders. We're in dire need for a message. We need visionaries who make us see things in the right way. We need to realign ourselves into a form of thing. We need to remove the differences between us. We need to remove the strong religious rifts, we need to remind ourselves that even if we are to have religion, that it springs from the same source, which is ironic because the three major Semitic religions, Judaism, Christianity and Islam, are literally from the same source, from the Old Testament. And yet we've slaughtered each other for centuries. Why? Because we've taken that common denominator and isolated it to create different power bases. Somehow we need to realign on this.
Is there going to be a cataclysm? Is it bad news for us? Or is it more like, boy, by getting together and bringing ourselves together, we can somehow make the world change? It's the latter part that appeals so much to people when they read about the Maya, because the Maya developed a participatory cosmology. It's all about human action and what you must do as a human being to perpetuate the status quo in the universe or to change it. It's up to you. You can do it. And here we sit in the year 2012 approaching, not being able to do a damn thing about the Big Bang or evolution, and that bothers us. We want a cosmology in which we can participate. The Maya had it. And so we look to them and say, well, maybe we can learn something from them. And I'm all for it. I mean, I think there'll be a positive outcome from the 2012 hype and mania, as I characterized it, because perhaps it'll make us take our cosmology a bit more seriously, look into it a bit more, think a little bit more about collective human consciousness, think a little bit more about what we can do to make the world a better place. That's a great message. And if that's what comes out of all this, I'm a happy camper, as we say.
I think we have gone through and are going through the final stages of a very dark age, but I also see glimmers of hope everywhere I look. I see people who are no longer willing to have their thoughts and their consciousness patrolled and controlled by others, who seek direct spiritual contact, who recognize that the established monotheistic religions, whether Judaism, Christianity and Islam, while they might have been instruments of liberation at some time in the past, are now primarily instruments of oppression and hold down and suppress the human spirit. And I see everywhere around me people reaching out to bypass that monolithic block of established religion and make their own contacts and own connections with the spirit realm. I do see a new birth of human consciousness underway, and when these things happen, they can sometimes happen very, very fast. So I do not rule out at all the possibility that all of us are going to be looking at the mystery and meaning of life in a very different way very soon. And that date, 21st of December 2012, sticks in my mind as one that is really worthy of consideration.